Hello and welcome to Jedi and the Mailman, a show where two old friends aim to deliver the best Star Wars talk in the galaxy. I'm Mike the Mailman, that's Jimmy the Jedi, and joining us tonight, the man, the myth, the legend, it is Clan Brandalorian.
Oh man, I didn't know I was a legend. I appreciate it.
Mm,
I'm just the man. Thank you guys for having me tonight. I've missed talking to you guys. Jimmy, I feel like the last few times we've been wanting to link up, something happens. And man, I'm just glad to be back with you guys. And you guys look good. How we doing?
thanks, doing good, doing good.
Good.
Yeah, man. So, Brandon, tell everybody what you've been up to, man.
Man, I've been trying to boost the channel. I've been raising my son. I've been, a family man. I've been a working man. I've just been a whole bunch of things. So, but this last 6-7 months has been pretty rapid. There's no breaks. Keep going every single day. And I have a new addiction, and that is coffee.
Yeah.
I love coffee a lot. And I've always liked coffee, but the last 7 months it's been helping me
need
in
it.
my life and my content creating life. So yeah, that's what I've been up to.
Awesome.
Nice. How about you,
Yeah,
Mike?
nobody. If you guys aren't following Brandon, I don't know what you're doing. Like seriously, get on it. Totally putting up great stuff all the time. Made massive collection, just cool stuff he's putting on his channel all the time. So check him out if you're not.
What Mike
So
said.
Jimmy, yeah, Jimmy, you wanted to talk a little bit about panels. So celebration panels. I think you wanted to start off with.
Got a couple things.
I think he just wants to brag.
Don't worry, I'll sit here and I'll listen. I'll shut up and I'll listen.
So I have to go to Japan in a few weeks, folks.
Oh man.
Ooh.
First off, we announced it, pushed out some socials and things like that. We have merch for sale now on Redbubble. If you go to redbubble.com and search Explore the Force, all one word, you can pick out a bunch of things. We got like five different. I don't necessarily think that their website is the easiest to navigate sometimes so far, messing with it, but we have 5 different designs. You can get them on different t-shirts, mugs, and sweatshirts and all these different things. So we help that. We do get some of the proceeds back here that help pay the bills, supposedly. We'll see if that happens. So there, you want to rock your Explore the Force stuff, you can go to Redbubble. And surprisingly quick turnaround. I ordered stuff on Saturday and it'll be here like early next week, the end of this week. So
I mean, and the prices, honestly, for a one-off, you know what I mean? Like, typically, when you're doing this sort of thing, you have to buy a run of t-shirts to sell them at a reasonable price, and they got to be all the same color, all the same design. But dude, you can go on there and pick out whatever color, whichever one of the designs. Like, I got a black and gold t-shirt coming, like Steelers colors, to support both my, Pittsburgh fandom and Explore the Force all in one. And it's, like I said, real reasonable prices, especially with the 25% off. But I think that's past now, but
yeah. And we'll be sure to throw up whenever they have stuff on sale. Cause we bought some stuff. They had a nice sale this first weekend. I'm assuming they do it all the time, but it is nice if you're out there and you're creating, because we've been struggling for a while with how to do it. And so Redbubble it's international, because that's one place that we kind of get locked up a little bit, is it being international and then trying to have like a company send it, and those tariffs are killing us. So
it's not going to get better, folks.
No. And so there's that. So yeah, like anything you can do, you can get stickers, you can get baseball, what they call those 3/4 like rings. I mean, they have all
baseball tees.
Pretty cool. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty fun. I'm pretty pumped to have it. Charlie did an awesome job. She designed a couple different things for our Japan trip, and we've used a bunch of those, and we have some other designs coming up. So it's pretty fun. Next, we have the quiz show starting tomorrow. If you think you know Star Wars, I'm not allowed to play, I was told. But if you think you know Star Wars, then on Wednesdays, on Wednesdays you'll be able to join. I think it's 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. That's 2 o'clock. Right now, that's 2 o'clock my time. So Central Standard Time. Yeah, that's it. Central Time.
Central
Yeah.
Daylight Time. It's
Yeah,
daylight time now.
Central Standard Brewery Companies. That's not what I want to say. So,
No.
but yeah, so you get on there. You have a couple different rounds. You've got to beat 4 people, but we do have a pretty nice gift giveaway.
Yeah.
It's not giveaway. You got to win it. You got to earn it. But it's going to be a lightsaber from All Sabers.
Damn.
Pretty nice. So we've got that on the hookup. I'm thankful for them for playing along with us there. Just have some fun. So that'll be every Wednesday. Somehow Jack thinks he's going to do it while he's in Japan, but we'll see how that goes. He's a dreamer. That boy, my boy Jackie boy is a dreamer. And then last but not least, we wanted to talk a little bit to today at 6 o'clock our time. Reed Pop and Celebration had their panel, the big 4 panels. You know, you got one on Friday, 2 on Saturday, and 1 on Sunday. And if you've been to a Star Wars Celebration, you know what? It is kind of a mess. It is kind of a headache. They say one thing, then something else happens every single year, and that was no different today. You had to hop on. Supposedly, you could join, and they're going to be like, you're going to be in this queue and all these things an hour early, and it just took you to this page. There was nothing on, and then all of a sudden, it just popped on. Right, so I had 2 computers running with 2 different tickets. My wife had tickets. She hadn't even gotten the email she was supposed to get from Reed Pop. And then my friend, buddy Danny, who's going, didn't get the email either from Reed Pop that he was supposed to get. So I was forwarding all that stuff. We're doing all that. She gets on, and there's some reasons that this is a little bit crazy, but she lucked out. She got Celebration, the main stage. She got all 3 days.
Here it is. Here's the bragging.
Some stuff. So we will be with the big part of the story is, one, Reed Pop's a bit of a mess. I don't care if they're listening. They are a mess. And there's got to be a better way to do this. This is my 4th celebration, and it seems to get worse each time. And then number 2, we will be in every panel. So we will be reporting live right afterwards. With the combination of, I had 2 tickets, she had a ticket, Jack had tickets, Danny had tickets. We managed to get it worked out that we will be in one of the stages. Because they have all the people come to one big stage, celebration stage, I think it's called. They have 2 overflow stages where it's like streamed for you, but you still get all that content. And just know the people aren't there; they're like on the screen in front of you, but you get to see everything. But good news is we're going to be in there. We're going to be able to report on everything right after it happens. So pay attention to those big panels. We'll come out, we'll talk about them, get our first reactions, and we'll deep dive into it because you're not allowed to have your cell phones and any of that stuff in there. So I'm going to try to figure out a different way to take notes and things like that. Cause I don't mind not having my cell phone. I get it. There's stuff they don't want out.
Yeah.
But we're going to figure out a different way to take notes and things. Cause I'm old. My memory doesn't last, but we'll be, yeah. Well, I don't know if we're even allowed to have that, to be honest.
Jeez.
No, they're real strict.
What are you going to do? Sketch it?
Yeah. So real fast.
Sketch.
You get
so that's pretty exciting though. We're pretty pumped. Going all the way to Japan and get that done. So you'll get you watch our socials and stuff like that. But I will say that I feel really bad because a lot of people didn't get anything, and I've been there the last couple of years, have not gone well for me. And Jack just wanted me to remind everybody. Now I think he's right on some of this. We don't know exactly what's all being streamed, but first you want to say things that people remember, and then we'll get started on the show. You can still get into panels through standby lines. So there's still a chance you could get into a panel if you didn't get one. You're not alone if you didn't get what you wanted panel-wise. I can tell you the last 2, I've gotten nothing, and it's infuriating. Travel all that way, spend all that money, you don't get in anything. And it just, I was pissed at Anaheim, and I was a little less pissed in London, but I was with so many different people that I knew that made it a little bit easier. We don't know for sure or not, but sometimes they stream them live there. They're going to supposedly stream some of this stuff on YouTube. So you can, I would be mad if I was in Celebration watching it on YouTube though.
Yeah.
The blackout stuff that they don't want you to see unless Jon Favreau's there, then he'll run it a second time so you can see it like he did in Chicago. And then just enjoy it with those who couldn't get in. And then, of course, you're in Japan, so have some fun, and you're still at Celebration. And I will say, some people don't care about panels. Some people love them. I love the panels. There's nothing like getting that information and you're just surrounded by, thousands of Star Wars fans who are just as excited as you are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great time. We'll be reporting on all of it. And of course, the most important panel will be Friday at 11:30 on the HoloNet news stage. Come check out Jack and I, and possibly live from England, one Miss Charlie, who will be hopefully joining us. So there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
well, for everyone watching, go ahead and drop down in the comments how cool Jimmy is and Explore the Force.
No kidding.
Dude,
This first 10 minutes is Explore the Force is killing it.
Dude, excited, to be honest.
I absolutely love that for you guys. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And plus, like, that's the whole point. You want to get to this point, like that's just insane.
And it's all luck of the draw too. It has nothing to do. Crafting oil, TR can tell. Yeah, I mean, I spent, Rebel ScumCon, the first time we got to hang out, I was in every panel for everything. It's just so much fun. Such good stories. Just, I don't know, this is the energy of it. It's one of the things I love the most about Star Wars Celebration. So,
and I think you're selling yourself short when you said it's not. It's a lot of luck. There's a lot of hard work that you guys have put into it too.
Well,
I think we're all proud of like what Explore the Force is doing right now. You guys are just crushing it.
Really excited where we're at. Getting the panel we get to do at on Friday. That's really exciting. I think we had a good topic. We're a unique brand where we're international. So I think that really helps us. But the other panels, pure dumb luck. Sheer luck. Just the lottery system. I think it's a seriously flawed system, but it worked in my favor this time, so I'm going to take it.
Yeah, you got to run with it.
But it's worked against me the last few times, so I'm going to take it this time. But I do think there's better ways to do things.
It's a lot like the Electoral College.
Yeah, just pointless.
Anybody can win. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right, Mike. Why don't you tell everybody why we're here? Not just listening to me going on about.
We are here because we're always here on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
But this Tuesday, heading towards what are we? 3 weeks out from Andor Season 2. Cannot wait. Counting down those days. So last week we talked about Saw Gerrera, which is peripherally related to Andor, and we decided we wanted to talk more about Andor, and possibly the next two shows, if we can come up with ideas, are going to be on Andor as well, because can't wait. It's the biggest thing Star Wars has coming right now, and we just want to talk about it. So this week there was an article I found from, who was it from? It was a Comic Book Resource. Yeah, Comic Book Resource. Good article talking about Andor. And we're just going to kind of use that as a template to lead us through a discussion and talk about what we liked about Andor, why we think it's popular. Is it popular? Or is it just a critical darling? Or, just get everybody's feelings, see where we're at here.
Yeah, absolutely. Brandon, are you excited for Andor Season 2? Tell us where you're coming. How you feeling?
Well, Andor Season 1, I have only watched it one time through. Once.
Me too.
I stayed up every night till 2 a.m. to watch. Oh, no, I lie. One night, I think the 5th episode, I set an alarm for 1:50, woke up, watched the episode, went right back to bed. But I thugged it out for the entire season, and I absolutely loved what I saw. And I feel like the more I've talked about Andor lately, I've kind of joined heads with other creators. So like Joey from Krypton to Alderaan gave me the most perfect saying for Andor, and I really 100% believe this, is it's the most non-George Lucas Star Wars that we've gotten. But then again, I think that's why it's so good. Andor Season 1 was very, very good. But I'm excited to rewatch it again right before Season 2 comes out. But Season 1 was phenomenal. So I'm ready to see what happens. And the trailer we got yesterday, I think that was the best of any trailer that we've gotten so far for Andor. And I even posted on my story, that the Andor hype is 1000% real going into this season. And I think everyone should be on board. I know there's no, lightsabers every other scene, this and that and the other, but I mean, there's more to Star Wars than that. And I think Tony Gilroy definitely gives us that sheer force of what a good Star Wars story can be outside of the I mean, it's still in the Skywalker timeline, but outside of the Skywalker main focus. So
Yeah.
I'm ready. That's where I stand though.
So how are you attacking it, Brandon? I know we've been
Yeah.
talking about how we going to cover this thing, how we going to watch this thing. I mean, it's a movie dropping every night for 4 weeks, and you have a newborn, so that really throws a wrench into things, I'm sure.
Yeah, so I've had to turn into a night owl basically.
Yeah.
So everything I do is probably going to like be recording, this time is a good time, once we get them down, I can kind of scurry away to the basement
Yeah.
and kind of just get things going, but I really love the aspect of this 3-episode drop and what it represents in the bigger scheme, because obviously each week is a year. So
Mhm.
I'm absolutely loving that this can also avoid filler episodes. I feel like this right here, you just can't have filler episodes. But that's how I'm gonna attack it. Is I'm ready for this movie once a week. Because could you imagine getting a Star Wars movie for 4 weeks straight?
Oh, I know.
Like,
Yeah.
God, that's what we've always wanted,
Mhm.
But I think, I know we'll talk more in depth about characters and settings and all that, but it's just like what could we see week 1 or week 3, or what's the finale
Mhm.
going to look like? We know how it's going to end and where it leads up to, but there's too much that could go on. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm ready for it.
Yeah, the whole release schedule is really intriguing. It's just as now creators getting on and doing this, like Jimmy and I, usually we're used to when these shows come out, going on and doing the review shows right after. So that's out the window now, because 9 o'clock you got something coming
Yeah.
out. It's not going to be over till 11. We'd be up after midnight talking, so it'd be can be difficult in that regard, and just squeezing in a movie viewing. But I mean, these are really first world problems. I mean, I'm not crying that I'm getting a freaking movie every other week or
Oh
every
yeah.
week. It's, I'm really intrigued by the release schedule. I think it's going to be awesome. And just, we're going to have to adapt and figure out how to cover it, which once again, first world problems, buddy.
Yeah. I also love too that Tony Gilroy was like, this is Disney's decision, which I think that's
Yeah. Yeah.
awesome. We're
Hmm.
getting Disney taking risks again, and
Yeah.
I think that's when Star Wars just peaks at its highest, is when risks are taken.
Yeah. Yeah. This really does seem like a kind of an experiment in, streaming scheduling. Cause you have the dump it all at once approach, you have the week to week approach. And here we're trying something completely different where it's, 3 episodes every week. So, it's an
Yeah.
interesting way to do it. I'm interested to see how it works out, how everybody likes it, if they like it.
No filler episodes. You can't do it.
Mhm.
Even though it happens in shows. Number
Mm.
one, it's just you just don't want it. But
Yeah.
maybe.
It was supposed to be 5 seasons, so they're gonna jam each year is gonna be a season, so I feel like it's gonna be nonstop.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, I didn't even know that.
yeah, originally apparently, this is what I've heard, is that when they first came out with this, they were talking that it was gonna be like 5 seasons long, which I was like, I'm here for that. But I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
could you stretch it out over 5 years and every 3 years? I mean, they're making a new show and it's like, I mean, that's tough.
Yeah.
Phantom Fanboy says before Bix dies, she will tell Andor that his mother would be proud of him. He will return the favor to Jin at the end of Rogue One. Andor is the best Star Wars in 40 years. So Phantom Fanboy loves it. Crafting on Ilum says to make sure you have your tissues ready for season 2. Lots of deaths to come.
Yeah.
We'll talk about this one. We won't talk about it yet, but we will talk about this also possible Vader. If I'm trying to find the screenshot of that from that video from
Mhm.
yesterday, but we'll get into that as well. So, yeah, I
Crazy.
mean, and one thing I will say too is like some of the capitals of our industry as far as like podcasting and doing different things like that. Even Force Center podcast, who I think been going for like 11 years, they're
Mhm.
still like, we don't know how we're going to do it either.
Yeah.
Like I was watching them today talk. I mean, they had its topic just about the release schedule and how are we going to cover it. So, but
Yeah.
it's not just us all, these smaller channels and stuff trying to figure it out. It's like
Mhm.
the big boys in the industry are like, what do we do?
Yeah.
So That's, at least we're not the only ones who haven't come up with the perfect plan yet. It will be interesting to see how all these different channels and, like, I don't know about you guys, but I love new rock stars on YouTube. I love their breakdowns.
Oh yeah.
And like, how are they going to do it? How are they going to break this down? Because I mean, that, like, he might be the hardest working guy on YouTube with those breakdowns that they do. But it'll be interesting. So, but yeah, let's dive into this topic, and I'm going to bring it up on the screen real quick just to show everybody where they can find it. They want to follow along. Maybe so many buttons. Share screen.
Maybe Redbubble will be able to fund that producer that you need.
Yeah, there we go. Yes, we got this on cbr.com. If you go up here in the link and I just put in Andor, you scroll down a couple. This was published 6 days ago now by Ben Morganti. And yeah, we'll dive into this. I agree with some stuff. I disagree with some things. I kind of wonder, is this his opinion? Like, I mean, it's kind of, we'll talk about it, I guess. What you guys thought. Let me see where we at. Stop screen. They've changed all the buttons, man. StreamYard looks a little different now, so you have to give this old guy a minute. I'm not good with technology, and then you start changing things. I'm a hot mess.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I love Star Wars. Tee hee hee. There we go. But all right, so let's just dive into this. Basically, the title: "The Best Star Wars TV Show is the best for unlikely reasons." So he's saying, first off, this guy loves Andor season 1, and he's talking about it. And the first thing he talks about is, it seems like the further removed fans are from George Lucas's selling the rights to Star Wars, the more criticism seems to be directed at Disney's Star Wars universe. Even recently, there has been more information revealed about George Lucas's Underworld series. While Lucas certainly would have continued to entertain audience if he had made more Star Wars content, it's hard to know whether he would have surpassed the prequel trilogies. I want to start right there, because this is what really fires me up, because people who, I don't know how old this guy is, but people hated the prequels, right? There's, the People versus George Lucas documents and documentaries, and people creating, like, on my best, when we were at we were at Rebel ScumCon last summer, he was talking about how people would have to create websites, and it wasn't easy back then. Not like it is today, where you click a button, you have a website, to hate on him specifically, not just Jar Jar, but to hate him as well.
You had to go out. You had to go out and learn how to code to make a website to hate on somebody.
That's crazy.
You guys think that? I mean, I am intrigued by that Underworld show that we've talked about. I don't know, Brandon. And it was going to be tied to that 1313 video game, and it was going to cost $40 million an episode, and blah blah blah. We covered that at length. What's this? Mr. Adams, can you grade my homework instead of doing this? Everything's graded, man. I don't know what you're talking about. This is going to give you a 0.
Zilch.
So, but yeah, so do you guys think that it would have been, I know this is a little off topic, but do you think, like, if George would have continued? Because I feel like he kind of, you think about, the prequels weren't really that loved by, like, people my age. I was 20, in our 20s, right, Mike? Like 21?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When those came out, and then Brandon was like 5. So, but
I was 2, 5, and 8.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you come from a very different, like, way of seeing it, but people weren't happy about it. And then, of course, he makes all these changes to the original trilogy stuff where he adds things, and people are mad about that. Do you think people really would have been happy if he would have continued to do Star Wars?
I don't think so. No. I mean, it really comes down to how much does he progress? How much does he change? Because, when you're that successful, you live in a bubble, and you can really, really think you are the most important thing in the world. Like, we don't see a lot of that in day-to-day life nowadays, but, when you're that super successful, nobody can tell you that you're doing wrong. You know what I mean? And it depends. If you can get outside of that bubble and change and listen to other people's opinion, then maybe George could have made some great stuff, but I think it's really difficult to have a successful track record, continue to make good things if, it's just you the whole time. So I guess it
Yeah.
really depends.
Yeah. It's also weird how, like, even now, like, I feel like in the last month or so, been a little more blunt, like with my feelings, like on Star Wars, and especially with the whole Kathleen Kennedy retiring thing, like especially when that was going on. It's just like, why do you guys hate her so much? Like, what
Yeah.
has she done? And it's also just like, do you guys not understand that George Lucas was hated even more? I'll just say that. Like, I have a guy who's a really good friend of a coworker, and over time, him and I have been pretty cool. And he was telling me, like, I showed him my collection in person, and he's like, Yoda doesn't have a lightsaber. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, no, like he's holding it, And he's just like, no. And then he pointed out my Sarlacc pit, and he's just like, that doesn't have a beak. So everything, like of the re-edits, he's just like, I just don't like it. I like the original. That's what I like, And he's come around to like the prequels and stuff, but he's just like, it's just that's not my Star Wars. And I get that, 100%. But like those little things like Jimmy mentioned, like people bashed on George Lucas, and it's like, I don't know if this generation that I'm a part of has just completely forgot about that kind of stuff, or just is too young to not understand it. But like, I remember the people versus George Lucas. Like, I remember that, being a kid and just like, oh no, people suck and hate George Lucas. Like, but like that, at the end of the day, Kathleen Kennedy is riding off in a convertible drop top, smiling, laughing, doing whatever, and she will, take you to the bank and just show you her checking account, and she doesn't care what any of us think. She doesn't care what
Yep.
Jimmy thinks, Mike, me, like, or these shill callers. Like, we've all had that episode, like, where we got
Yep.
bashed for like 15 minutes, and it's just like, dude, like, come on, like that would suck back in the prequel era, because that's what I like. That would, like, it's just weird to think that people hate things just because, and it's just like, oh, we're that miserable. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I never understood about, and that's probably a whole nother topic. Is like, if you don't like something, like why? But if you love Star Wars, but you're gonna like boycott something, like I don't know. I've never got that. I mean, I had to come around to the sequels. I still don't like cherish them. I
Yeah.
do enjoy them, but it is what it is. He goes on to say, however, Disney has had few Star Wars. Well, first off, he says when Lucas is more hands-on with some of Disney's content, the product seems to be better. Star Wars: The Clone Wars, which was
That's
over
not Disney's content. Yeah.
no, and Mandalorian was George was on set for that,
Right.
right? Like, he wasn't. I mean,
And it was his protege that's leading the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it wasn't
In
George.
Filoni, but yeah.
However, Disney had a few Star Wars stories that lived up to audience expectations. Disney is often persecuted for making Star Wars films that shows that either aren't Star Wars enough or don't feel like Star Wars. And I do agree with him here. What's so funny about these criticisms is that they don't provide much insight to what exactly it means to be Star Wars. That often feels like fans grasping at straws because they're clinging to their idea of Star Wars, of what Star Wars means. So I mean, people like holding on for dear life about, that doesn't feel like Star Wars. I don't know if you guys. I mean, I think Brandon, you said something about it being like not Star Warsy, like Andor.
Yeah.
What do you mean by it? I mean, I feel like you're not wrong. I mean, I think lots of people talked about like this doesn't feel like Star Wars to me, but then it feels like Star Wars to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, but it does because it's.
No, 100%. It was kind of the way he explained it to me, and the way I grasp onto it is that it's not, everyone who cherishes 1 through 6, that's a very wide range of us, I would say. Like, that's George Lucas, he created it. But it's just like George Lucas wouldn't make Andor. Like, I just don't think he would make a spin-off series that's so impactful for the story. After, of course, getting Rogue One, it creates this alleyway for Andor to be a thing. Like, I just don't think George Lucas would make something of a character to that degree. But at the same time, it's, we're not getting the the lightsaber effects, you know, where we don't have Darth Vader in every scene, Palpatine, which would be cool. I do think that there is some spots for them to come in, but it's just it's the approach, and I feel like, you know, Luthen's character is just something just real typical Tony Gilroy, just writing a character, like kind of a side character that just kind of takes over. But I mean, it feels like Star Wars. Me personally, I agree with you. I think it feels like Star Wars all day. I mean, Rogue One is top 4 in my whole thing of what Star Wars has created. But it's such good. It's a good movie, and now we're getting a branch of a good series that ties together. And then yeah, it's that step outside of the Skywalker lineage and stuff. So that's how I look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, Phantom Fanboy says it's the most Star Wars since George. It has allegory, no other Disney does. No other Disney Star Wars does. Allegory is essential pillars to Star Wars. So that's more about theme and stuff like that. But and we'll get into this too. But what do you think, Mike? Do you think it feels like Star Wars? Because I mean,
Uh,
I think that's an individual. I mean, that's
Yes,
hard. What
100%.
Star Wars? What I don't. Me personally,
Mhm.
I feel like everything's been Star Wars because it is Star
Yeah.
Wars.
To me, it's if you're saying that it's not like the movies, then if that's what you're calling not Star Wars, then okay. But if you look at Star Wars as a whole, like everything that Star Wars has put out now, all the different content that we have available, the comic books, the movies, the shows, everything, we've seen that Star Wars is a much broader world than just the Skywalker saga. It's not just those movies. So in that fact, it's not like that Star Wars. It's not the Skywalker saga. It is something different, but it is totally Star Wars. I mean,
Mm.
it's within the realm. It's like I said, it goes into this a bit later in the article. Like when Cassian shoots a stormtrooper, that's Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the clothing, the setting, the vehicles, like it's all Star Wars. It's just a different story, which I would love to see more of. And maybe we'll
Mhm.
get into that later, but a different story, a different kind of telling, a different framework for Star Wars. That I mean,
Yeah.
it's great.
Absolutely. I kind of went on a rant and my Force encounter about, like because we're doing like with Daredevil Born Again being out, watching that.
Mhm.
I'm back and watching season 3 of Daredevil, which I didn't watch. Loved how gritty and real it feels, and like I feel
Mhm.
like this feels like those, and Punisher, like stuff feels real and gritty and just kind of based in the real world, which I know we want to escape from, but um yeah, so I agree with you guys. I think it's all that's all. I'm not going to tell somebody that they're wrong. Like if they don't feel like
Yeah.
it feels like Star Wars, that's fine. Like I'm sorry that it doesn't. And for people who love it all, awesome. Um,
Mhm.
where are we at here? Andor has proven that it might be the best Star Wars series of them all, and it succeeds for a very unlikely reason. This is where we're kind of going to dive into. Now I want to know, like, according to who, because the numbers don't support. Like everyone, and that's the thing too, is everyone argues like this was a failure. They argue that Acolyte's a failure because of the numbers, but then they turn around and say, well, Andor is a success. Well, their numbers are both really low.
Yeah.
Of course, that's his opinion, I guess. But I'm trying to find it here. Part of what made the original Star Wars movies great was the allegorical portrayal of dictatorships and the people oppressed by it. The Empire is a stand-in for the oppressive force that might have existed in human history, while the rebellion represents those that stand against such power. The prequels don't have the same effect because they're similar, because the circumstances are different. And it talks about having similarities like British and American real life government, although I feel like that first one's more realistic these days.
Yeah.
Plenty of relevance to the films, despite their flaws, as they tackle themes of hypocrisy and corruption. However, the original trilogy resonates much more because of the stakes that seem to permeate every sequence. Since Andor takes place sometime right before the original trilogy, those stakes are felt enormously by the audience. Cassian is trying to navigate the galaxy that is greatly restricted, oppressed. Is that why it's so good though? Is because we know exactly what it's leading into. Like when you watch Rogue One, you immediately want to watch A New Hope.
A New Hope. Oh yeah.
Cass, why can't I think of his real name? What's Cassian's real
Diego
name?
Luna.
Diego Luna.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Tony Gilroy. They're like, if they said that we failed if you don't want to watch A New Hope, and then if you don't want to watch Rogue One right after this season 2 comes out. So I mean, it's all kind of like it ties together, right?
Yeah.
So,
I feel like that's what we watch it for too, is you want that connectivity. And plus it's just like, I don't know, like in my opinion, like I remember we talked and we ranked all of the live action shows on Explore the Force like probably over a year ago, but it was just crazy how that made me think like, okay, Andor is the best show, but it's not my favorite. So it's, you can always appreciate the greatness, but it's just like, could you imagine being the cast and the writers, Tony Gilroy, all of them, just to know like it has to be perfect. Like it really does. Like for it to lead up to 15 minutes before Rogue One, when we see Cassian walking down the alley, and then just the perfect way that Rogue One led up to A New Hope. Like it's almost, it gives you goosebumps when you think about it, how perfect it has to be. And what we've had so far, it's insane how close it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I can't even imagine doing that, right? Being able to pull that off and just the way that they've done it. Mr. Brightside Stack says, which spin-off show, not movie, is your favorite? So real quick, what spin-off show? So any of the series, what would you say? That's a tough one.
Which is not your favorite? Which is your favorite?
Is your favorite? Like not the
which
movies,
is your favorite?
Like favorite TV. Like what has been your favorite Disney Plus show? Mr. Brightside is asking us on Instagram.
What's up, Mr. Brightside? Mike, you go ahead. You take the rip.
All right. I'd say maybe it's recency biased, but Skeleton Crew. That show is great. I just have to stop and think about how joyful I was after watching all those episodes. And like I said, it may be recency bias because before that show, I would have said Andor, and maybe tomorrow I would say Andor again. But I just love Skeleton Crew. It was a really enlightening show, like just fun, where Andor is like, it's intense, it's gritty, it makes you feel stuff. You really enjoy it. But sometimes you don't want to feel those feels, you want to feel the joy of, Skeleton Crew. So
yeah, that's a good one. Jimmy, who you got?
I am going to go with Ahsoka. I mean, we all know how I feel about Balin Skull. So.
Dude, you and Jack need to do a like Jude Law, John Nawood, and a Balin Skull like cosplay.
The only problem is I'm like half as tall as Ray Stevens was, but I mean, I think it's a little bit flawed. There's some things I didn't love about it, but overall, it just felt really Star Warsy to me. There's that thing. It felt really Star Wars. Like it really did feel like an extension of Rebels, and I wasn't here for it. So what about you, Brandon?
I got to go with the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
What was that?
So now that you stalled,
yeah, give me the Mandalorian, because I feel like like right before COVID, like when Mando first came out, I watched the last season of Clone Wars, and I had only watched the first 2 seasons, so 3 to 6 I didn't watch any of it because I didn't really like Ahsoka's character. So I was just like, all these years I haven't watched, I'll watch this, because I actually had seen on Twitter that Darth Maul is like a huge prominent character in this final season. I'm like, what? And I knew he came back, but I didn't know, so, and I was blown away. So then it was like a new live action show will be streaming on Disney Plus. So like I remember I got a friend's login and used his Disney Plus
the way
to watch
it's supposed
all that.
to be.
Yeah, right. And man, I was pulled right back into Star Wars. And also I thought the Mandalorian was going to be kind of like the going back to like Jango Fett's like when he was a foundling, like when he was first taken in, by the Mandalorians. I thought that's what it was. And I was just like, wait, the setting doesn't make sense for that to be it. And then, that was me not reading and, being up to date with every single thing like I am now. But man, it was just amazing. Everything was awesome. And then, I love Grogu, man. Grogu, I'm a Disney fiend at that point. I love Grogu. I can't wait for him. See what else he gets.
Nice.
Yeah, we just did a show on Bryce Dallas Howard a month or so ago, and we had to dive back into a couple Mandalorian shows. And before that, I mean, I watched all the Mandalorian shows, really enjoyed them, but it's kind of distant. You have some distance from it. But after watching those 4 episodes again, it's like I'm jazzed for Mandalorian and Grogu. Man, that was such a fun series.
Yeah, I agree. Ahsoka too. I always forget about that series, and I feel like
Yeah.
that is outside of Mando and Book of Boba Fett and the Kenobi series. Ahsoka is one I've rewatched so many times, and it's just, god damn, it gets so better every single time you watch it.
Yeah, wait till you rewatch Andor and you can binge through it, man. I think
That's what
it's
I'm.
like
That's what I'm really ready for.
next level good. I watched like 4 episodes in a row, and I was just like, so, very cool. All right. Most of the Star Wars projects that take place during the Rebellion era have the original trilogy as a gravitational pull for their stories. They are cut from a similar cloth to one of the most iconic science fiction trilogies of all time. One of Disney's earliest projects upon acquiring Lucasfilm was Rogue One. There was a lot of anticipation for these kinds of one-off stories that could exist separately of the Skywalker saga. That is probably what made the film such a success in the first place. The fact that it was telling an individual story about characters no one had ever heard of before, even though Rogue One ties directly into Star Wars movie from 1977, it still dedicates 95% of its time to telling a compelling little story about the rebellion's fight against the Empire. And it goes on to talk about themes and things like that as well. Do you think it is popular because it is away from the Skywalker saga? Because that doesn't make a lot of sense to me, I guess, with the fact that a lot of people complain that it's not like the Skywalker saga. You know what I mean? Like people hoping for because Force Awakens comes out and we get 2 seconds of Luke and everyone's furious. Everyone's loving it at first, and then all the haters got their word out, and then people started, oh yeah, I gotta hate this movie. I can't think for myself. They didn't get that Skywalker thing they wanted. Did that make sense to you guys? Do you think that's one of the reasons? Like, it is tied to the original trilogy pretty closely, but it also is away from the Skywalker saga. I mean, do you think that's a pull to this show?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's for a good reason though. I mean, I kind of I get what the article's saying by that, but fully, yeah, I think it's ultimately I think what it does essentially is just it enhances the original trilogy. It focuses on Luke, Leia, Vader, the missing dynamic, and then of course Ben Kenobi showing Luke how to do everything. But I just feel like a movie like Rogue One can show like the back story and what's actually happening behind the scenes with the rebellion, because I mean the rebellion is what ultimately takes down the Empire. Obviously Luke blowing up Death Stars, Lando blowing up Death Stars, it all comes together. But I mean ultimately it's just like the rebellion is bigger than what maybe a casual fan would see it as. So I feel like this just it pulls it in, and it also enhances the overall story. A true backstory. To be clear, actually, Andor is actually probably the best backstory we've gotten in Star Wars.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would agree too. I mean, it is like the article's saying, it has that connective tissue to the core movies, kind of like Force Awakens for me. Like it had that connective tissue because, Han Solo and Princess Leia were in it. But it told a story just like Rogue One did of new characters. You know what I mean? You got new characters, but you had that connective tissue. You still had some connection. And that is one of the things they did great, I thought, with The Force Awakens is introduce new characters, but had that, connection. And if they'd have, stayed away, like we've been through this, but but yeah, I mean that it makes a lot of sense that it's connected, but it's telling a new story, and that has a lot to do with why it's popular. I think that, and to me, I mean, for me, like I always say, why, like when people would ask me what my favorite Star Wars movie is, and I'd say Rogue One. why do you like Rogue One? And my instant answer is everyone dies at the end. There's something I just love about killing your darlings. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
building these characters, and here we are building these characters even more, even that we know they're gone. You know, they have no more story after Rogue One, but you put all this effort into building these characters that people just love, and then in the end, they're gone. And I don't, there's something about that in storytelling that I just really enjoy. You know, I don't know.
So that's a good
Yeah,
look at it. I haven't really thought of liking it a lot because of that reason, but that kind of is the reason essentially.
Hmm.
So yeah.
yeah, it is
I mean,
weird. I mean,
has a lot to
um,
do with the ultimate sacrifice. You know what I mean? Like these characters, beyond just the writing of being able to kill your darlings. It's like these characters sacrificed everything. And we get to see even even now we know the ending, we know what's going to happen, but you're still interested because you've been pulled in and you love these characters so much, and you know in the end they're going to do what's right. They're going to sacrifice everything for the rebellion, and it just makes you love them more and want to know more about them. Maybe I don't know.
yeah, I like the unknown aspect of it. And I keep bringing up Marvel stuff, but because I mean, we've known all these characters. I mean, that's one thing I love about Ahsoka was like Balin and Shin, like these characters we
Hmm.
don't know. And these, I mean, they just feel
Yeah,
like they're part of Star Wars. But like for
Yeah.
Marvel stuff, like I don't know, I didn't know Moon Knight's story, and I love that series. Like I have
hmm,
no idea where this is going. And I
yeah,
kind of enjoyed that. You know, we didn't know what was happening in Rogue One. Like we didn't know
yeah,
like how is this going to end? You know, and I went in there thinking, oh, everyone's going to die, but I had my movies crossed. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I
Mm.
had the line from Return of the Jedi in my head, not Star Wars at the time. But then of course my favorite movie is Solo, and it completely goes against all of that. So I have no idea. So we
yeah.
know exactly what's going on there.
Well,
So
you know, like what you're saying there gets to the heart of it, right? Is we as fans don't necessarily know what we want. It takes a great writer to just tell a great story that connects with us, and that's what we want.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's what we want. There's no formula that we can point to ourselves that says, it has to have this, and this. It comes down to someone who has a great vision and can present that vision to us in a way that connects.
Yeah.
We don't know what we want.
Hmm. And the people who complain and cry the most, like what they say, it's like, well, what do you want then?
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
always, I want an R-rated Vader film. And it's like,
mhm,
why? Like, why? Like, we don't need that.
yeah,
Like, and and it's always those people too think that they can write and print,
oh my
print out
gosh,
the better
mhm,
story. And it's like, okay, you sit down and with a group of 50 people and pitch your idea and let's see
yeah,
where it goes. Like
yeah,
what's your first sentence? Vader pulls out his red lightsaber and beats up like 10 people with one blow. And it's just like, no, like that's not what we need. We need
yeah,
true authentic stories from different directors. Yeah, it's cool. George Lucas, he's the maker. He gets a huge pass because he created it. But it's just like I love seeing Leslie Headland. What's up, JT Lovecraft? And we get directors like Tony Gilroy, Ryan Johnson, JJ Abrams, Bryce Dallas Howard. We get John Favreau, Dave Filoni. Like I just named off a whole bunch of people, and all of their visions is what is creating Star Wars today. So I'm cool with. I love all the multiple directors, but it's just like, give it a break.
yeah.
It's a lot. There's a lot to it that almost all of them have no idea what's even going on.
Right.
I couldn't write a story. Jeez.
it is. I mean, it is challenging. I will say
Yep.
that, and you just I
You do
yes, I
have
mean
some experience.
yeah, I mean, I have a little bit of experience, and it's not good. So, um, it's easy to have ideas, I think, but
Yeah.
Mhm,
developing those ideas, I mean, that's a process. I don't think people understand how hard it is. The
mhm.
first book I wrote, my co-author was like editing me and making me sound good. And of course, by the second book we got into, like, I was a little bit better at it. It was mostly my ideas that kept the story moving forward because of my active imagination, and she kind of like reined me in a little bit. But yeah, it is so hard to do this and to see all these things, um, playing out. this happens here, and people
Yeah.
drive me nuts when they said they could do a better job. And there might be someone out there who actually can do a better job, but I would say 99.99999999999% of them cannot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a reason that some of these people are experts, but okay. So, however, Andor feels the least like Star Wars project of all the Star Wars projects that have come out. It is not separate from Star Wars at a base level, but in terms of its deeper function as a piece of science fiction storytelling, from a tonal and thematic perspective, Andor doesn't feel like Star Wars. And I put what? Series at all. By deviating from previous material in this way, it had a much greater impact than fans were expecting. The series actually subverted the general idea of what it means to be Star Wars and used that approach to its advantage. What? Like, I felt like it was, it's telling the story. Granted, that story, Andor could be set in the real world. It could be set in Star Trek. It could be set in Marvel. It could be set in Star Wars. It could be set wherever. Like, that story is just a great story that they wrote.
Mm-hmm.
But to say that it tonally is different from Star Wars, it's not as campy, but it's still good versus evil, call to action, the
Yeah.
hero's journey. Like, I feel like it is Star Wars because Cassian rejects the call. This is classic hero's journey. Tony and those guys know all this stuff, and so I kind of disagreed with that portion of it. You guys feel like that's why it was so good, is because it subverted the expectations of what it meant to be a Star Wars?
I think we sort of talked about this a little bit earlier. It just depends on what you mean by what a Star Wars movie is, And like I said, I think we've shown with some of the different things that have come out that Star Wars is a much bigger sandbox than what we want it to be. We think of originally. It's not just the core movies; it's so much more, and it could take place in so many more, so many different places, and so many different scenarios, and so many different genres. It doesn't have to be this; it can be that as well.
Craft My Own is given some love. I applaud those who have vision and execute it because it takes a lot of work, passion, belief in yourself to do so. And she would know. She does a lot of good things on her channel. I know she's not like writing stories and stuff, but she delivers a lot of fun content. And that's, putting yourself out there. I get that aspect of it. And I agree with you completely, TR, that it is hard. And people should be, even if you don't love it, you should still respect the fact that they were able to do it. JT says, totally agree. Even the guy that created Star Wars, George Lucas, didn't land 100% of the time. Yeah, I would agree with that. I'll stop typing up for directors before any new project. Just want to jump into something new and innovative. Yeah, I'm there with you.
Yeah,
it's a great look.
So, I don't know. It goes on to say that for the diehard Star Wars fan, there's nothing about Andor that could taint the greater franchise, and that allows them to watch the series more objectively.
I completely disagree with that, personally.
It could have ruined the story. It could have gone on a tangent that didn't make any sense, and I think that's
yeah. Just because you know where you're going doesn't mean you're going to get there in an exciting manner. You know what I mean? They told a fantastic story. We know what the ending is. It's the middle, and that's where they're telling the stories in the middle. And if they didn't do a good job, it definitely could have tainted everything around it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's such a weird, I don't know. It's cool to read other people's opinions because then it gives us something to talk about more objectively, but it's just and it's also one of those things as well where it's all how you see it. And that's something too that I like the Acolyte, the summer night vibes of picking my brother up, coming home, chilling with the wife, and we're just watching the Acolyte, every single week until it was done. A couple times came on here and talked about it afterwards, like that. Those are good times, good vibes. So why would I not like the show? Like the show could be subjectively terrible. I don't think it's terrible. But it's just, you got to think about what's going on in real life during these times when you're watching these projects and, what it brings to you. And especially with like I mean, you guys probably love what you grew up with in the original trilogy, and it's always going to stick because you were freaking kids, you know? And then
Yep.
like Mike saying that you like Skeleton Crew, you get that 80s nostalgia feel with the Star Wars universe. So like, why would
Yep.
you not have that as one of your favorites, you know? And that's just like me
Yeah.
with the prequels, you know? It's just, but it's just, it's what's going on at the same time, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot of truth to it, man, for sure.
Yeah. Where are we at here? Andor is basically a gritty science fiction political thriller that exists for all audiences to enjoy. The show's best episode, One Way Out, and I am paraphrasing and cutting a bunch of stuff out because we don't have
Yeah.
a ton of time left. But the show's best episode, One Way Out, is a perfect example of this. The episode completely strips away the core elements of Star Wars and tells a compelling story of a oppressed group of prisoners who revive for their freedom. Andor effectively became the best Star Wars series by being the least like Star Wars of anything else in the franchise. I still think at its core, that is what he himself, the author, wrote. Mr. Morganti said at the very beginning that Star Wars was about people standing up to tyranny and the oppressed. I feel like that's exactly what One Way Out is.
Yeah.
Is a
It's
group
the whole
because
point.
you look at all the side people that get blasted and die, and that one guy who right up there with Cassian to help the charge. That I can't remember his name. He dies. I mean, he gets blasted like just. I mean, like it's nothing. Like just
Yeah.
cold, like real. So I disagree to say that like I loved One Way Out, and it was a great speech. Great. I mean, there's a lot of cool things that happen in that episode, but I feel like at its core, it's exactly what Star Wars is. Is it tonally? Is it the same as Luke Skywalker? And you're hearing, Ben Kenobi, but those people are hearing what's his face coming across the PA system and giving them the motivation and the words they need. So to me,
That's awesome. Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it's the same thing.
Yeah.
One way out, climb, help somebody. Like it doesn't talk about abandoning the fellow prisoners. It talks about helping them out, helping them lift. You find someone that needs you, help them, pull them up. And of course, it ends kind of crazy with him not being able to swim in high school with us. But I disagree with. I don't know. I mean, do you feel like that episode? I mean, I know it's different than what we've seen in Star Wars, but don't you feel like it has? I feel like that is Star Wars, like that whole concept of. And he says it in his article, the oppressed standing up to the tyranny. It's exactly what they do.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes these articles, I feel like they just write them to write them. I don't know. So, what do you guys? I mean, is it a Star Wars? I mean, is it? Why do you guys think? I guess it's so popular. Is it because, like this author says, that it's not Star Warsy? Although he contradicts himself a bunch, I think throughout. What makes it so great? And we're all hyped up and ready to go for season 2.
Yep. Andor is Star Wars, and you can argue with a concrete wall if you want. It is Star Wars.
Yeah. I think like Andor, Rogue One, and they may have done something different than the other Star Wars shows, but not in a bad way. It still is Star Wars. They may have been innovative in showing that Star Wars can go in other directions and tell other stories and be different, but it's still Star Wars at heart,
Yeah.
I like JT's here. People who don't like One Way Out are people who can't swim.
You got to teach them how to swim, Jimmy.
I'm a swim coach here at my high school. Mike and I swam for 4 years together at our high school, so I'm set. I'm ready to go.
Yep.
So I'm just ready to go as well. So I mean, it looked like a really far distance to that to the shore, so that might have been tough. But I could at least start swimming away from. I do have a fear of jumping off stuff that high, but I'm feeling if I was in that situation, I'd make an exception and just cannonball my butt right off that tower.
Yeah. I still love jumping off of high things. You remember back in high school?
Oh boy, I'm getting in trouble.
Yep.
Oh, that's a story. That's our JJ time, though. That's a story for a different episode.
Yeah.
But, do we have any thoughts? I did want to talk real quick, and I know we're kind of jumping all over the place a little bit. I think we've kind of hashed out that we believe Andor is Star Wars. It may look a little different, it may sound a little different, but at its core, it's Star Wars. And it was something that Tiara brought up earlier. You guys have seen the trailer that was released yesterday, and there's that scene where Deidre Marrow is like grabbing at her neck. Everyone thinks that's Vader. So I kind of want to end with this because this is going to get this will get people fired up. Is Darth Vader choking her in that scene? I know what I think, and I've had a couple conversations online, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I don't know. As long as it fits the story, but what do you guys think? Is that what you thought? What you thought when you first saw it? That she's being force choked, and then it was Vader.
Go ahead, Mike. I gotta look on it.
First, I saw Tahu popped up in here. I gotta say, hey Tahu. He's running on Maori time. I wish I was on Maori time, but I don't think I didn't think it was a force choke. I didn't think it was Vader. I'm not sure what I thought it was, but everybody's talking about cameos and whatnot with this, and we talked a lot about it with Skeleton Crew as well. You know, what cameos are going to pop up here, and I think we found with Skeleton Crew we were completely wrong with all of it, and we're talking about Andor that doesn't have. I don't know. You didn't see any recognizable, like no previous Star Wars characters. You know, nothing that links it to no characters that really link it to the story. Mon Mothma, I suppose, but I don't think you're going to see a lot of cameos in this. I wouldn't expect to see any cameos. I mean, a Darth Vader cameo might make sense. Maybe it will happen, but to me, I don't think so. And I mean, there's like everybody's have all these ideas, and there are definitely different things. Like any of the rebels could show up because the timing is right, or Cal Kestis could show up because the timing is right. But I don't think so. I don't think you're going to see any of that. Not in the Tony Gilroy show. Not in Andor. I don't think so. It's just like Skeleton Crew. The story stood up so well on its own. It didn't need cameos. It doesn't need those things. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the same thing here. I mean, yeah, some of these things might make sense, but I just don't see it. I don't think there's a need for it.
Yeah. See, I think it's gonna be. I don't know. It's weird to think what it is, But if I was a betting man, I think we're gonna get 2 cameos now. When Mon Mothma is looking off into like the courts, like basically when Palpatine rose to power. I think that we're actually either going to see a very small Palpatine, talking to all of the councils, basically. I think that's going to be that would be a really good cameo. If we're going to talk to the cameo route, and then Mon Mothma is just like, and I feel like that would add so much weight to Mon Mothma and what they're showing on her side, because she'd just be like, we need to get this dude. He's ridiculous. Like, this is exactly what we're fighting for. And that is ultimately the entire point of Andor and what it's leading into with the rebellion going against the Empire. And we know how Palpatine's reign with the Empire ends. So I think it would just make sense. Now with Deidre, I think I have 2 theories, but I'm still a betting man, and I think it's Vader. Or it's Palpatine, and this would be kind of the first time we see him use a force choke, like a crippling force choke in live action. But I think it's Vader. But at the same time, I don't know if it's because I just finished the game last month, but Jedi Survivor, we get a cool ass scene where Cal is just had enough, and he force chokes an Imperial officer, and that was so cool to see him kind of come out of character a little bit and kind of tap in with the dark side, letting those true feelings come out. I mean, how cool would it be to know that she maybe double crossed someone wrong in Cal's story, and we get Cal in live action? Like, that is my far reach. It has a 0.29% chance of happening, but like, how cool would that be? Because I feel like if it was a Vader force choke, she would just be going crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of looked uncomfortable. But even like when we see Orson Krennic get the old Vader treatment, that dude, like that was really good acting on his end, just the like, oh, hold on, what the hell, like, and then he just falls to the ground. Like that's Vader right there. But I don't know. But like I said, if I was a betting man, I think Vader is the one doing it.
All right, I'm gonna play it real quick, just for those who don't know what I'm talking about. Don't blink, you'll miss it. It is quick.
The monster will come for us all.
Revolution is not for the same.
And that was it. That was that quick. I'll try to see if I can. So there she is. And that's causing all of the drama right now.
She could just be undoing her collar because she's having a nervous breakdown.
We've only seen her 2 very quick times. Like in the first trailer, she has her head up against like this window where she's like, ah, crap. And
maybe it's Vader's shuttle just pulling up. She's like, oh, shit.
And this is kind of where I'm thinking. JT kind of has, had the idea. It says, my friend said there's a shot in season 1 where Deidre Mero takes some pills. Yeah, when they're staying up and doing extra work, she pops some pills. I think she's having an anxiety attack. I think she's freaking out about, at her core, she likes control, but I think the stuff that's probably going to happen in the Gorman Massacre might be too much for her. And I think she may be like, what have I done kind of thing. And then JT, I love this. This is really good, JT. It's poetic. The ISB getting a taste of the fear that they themselves instill in the galaxy. Love that. And, it's I'm reading The Mask of Fear right now, and this is all about Mon Mothma trying to get this bill passed where it basically makes Palpatine. I don't want to give too much away, but it's a bill she's trying to get this bill passed that'll take away most of his power. He'll just be kind of like he'll be like an English monarch, not really have any power, but just kind of be there. And it was kind of a way to like push him out of the way and let the Senate go back into it. And so, by that, that book is like right immediately after the fall of the Jedi and things like that has, hadn't been very long. And so I think, Brandon, you're kind of right about that would be an excellent spot for a Palpatine. I think we're probably gonna get like Mas Amedda or somebody, maybe. I'm not sure who will be there, but I think you're right, it'd be a great place for it. And of course, like, cameos and stuff. After she makes that speech, I think that's the one where she takes off and the Rebels pick her up in the Rebels animated series.
Yeah.
I don't see the Rebels showing up in this because I don't feel like they fit. And that's,
tonally.
Tonally, they don't fit. They don't look like they belong in Andor. Did that make sense? No.
Yep.
I don't know why that is to me, because I think like that would be awesome if like I would love to see the Ghost land and like they shuttle her, she runs into the back of it or something like that. I can't remember exactly how that plays out in Rebels. It's been too long, but but Tony Gilroy is not to be tried. He doesn't care. I mean, he's gone on record like I don't care about all this, but he does need to make things. I mean, the connectivity that we talked about that we all love so much.
I could see Bail Organa maybe being in it too.
Oh yeah, I don't even feel
Jimmy Smith is available.
Yeah, Jimmy Smith's back in the team.
Yeah, like get Jimmy Smith. Like, I mean, who doesn't love that guy?
Yeah,
right. Good point. And there is such a crazy psychological aspect to it that if I could see that being dangerous.
Oh
yeah. I mean, I don't think it's Vader. I think she's having a panic attack. Who knows what happened with her and Cyril? Maybe someone put those headphones on her real quick, and now she's like losing her mind. Who knows? She looks like she's in an enclosed space. I mean, I don't know. There's all kinds of potential. I don't think it's Vader, though. Would I want it to be? I don't know.
Yeah,
but
they do it right.
You did a good job there. I mean, how quick was that? It was like 1 second, 2 seconds, maybe scratching and clawing and trying to get that, that collar rope, undone or whatever. I think that's. Whoever makes these trailers, they earn their money.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, there we go. Nice. Oh my god. Perfect. There we go. And then that's what happened. She lots of love. Had no marshmallows in there. She's choking like, this is terrible.
Maybe she's allergic to the cereal.
Oh, there
she's
you go.
Breaking out.
Having an allergic reaction to crappy space cereal. So,
Hey, do
yeah,
you guys think they're on Lothal with that wheat field planet? Do you think that's Lothal?
I've heard Dantooine.
Dantooine. Yeah, I've heard that
Like
too as well.
but I at first I originally thought, well, is that Lothal? I thought that too, Brent. I thought the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, they're on Lothal, but I don't know if that I don't know if that makes sense, or it could easily be, because I mean they had all those farmers and stuff in Rebels that were like away from the city. It
Yeah.
could be one of those communities. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, see, I feel like there's something where
Lothal.
yeah, that would be awesome too.
Yeah.
I have a feeling too, we might see some part of the Ghost Crew pop in, because I did read something, I mean, whether it was real or not, that there was going to be at least some sort of connection with a previous series that has a well-established group of characters. So I'm thinking right away, Rebels.
Yeah, that would make no sense.
Yeah, and it's just like, Hera and where she's at with the rebellion, it would make sense, I feel like if you want to get real fan servicey, you throw Freddie Prinze Jr. in there, live action.
Oh my
maybe
God,
for
how awesome
60
would that be?
seconds.
Oh,
You don't have to call up
insane.
the Jason Sandula character. I'm so sorry, I don't know the actor's name, but like he's not born yet, so that can fill a spot. I mean, we're getting Zeb in live action. Who knows if Zeb's with them? And Estefandi is doing. He had a leak recently too that Ahsoka season 2 is about to start filming.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
maybe he's already, kind of been in the acting world and maybe got a little 2-minute scene. I mean, who knows? Like
They could have
I
shaved
think
his
that would
head.
be real awesome.
Yeah, they could have shaved his head and made him look like a young Ezra. Well, I guess he doesn't have the shaved head until after Kanan dies, but spoiler alert. Sorry,
Yeah.
Mike.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, I would love it. I would love nothing more than them to tie this into Rebels. And like that's the speech she gives, and she's on the run. I think that would be fantastic. I just don't see it happening for some reason. I don't feel like those Star Wars shows fit together, even though they fit together. Like I mean, they literally are connected in storyline. I just don't feel like Tony would have done it. But I mean, could they make it work? I mean, if anyone's going to make it work, it's going to be this group.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you, I don't want to see anything forced in there, but Brandon, since you said it, to see a live action Kanan Jarrus, oh my God. Even if it's just a couple seconds, I think I'd lose my mind.
Sprinkle him in. I think it would work.
Nuts to see that. I think, but yeah, I don't know. I just think this has a lot of potential, and I think no matter what happens, as long as you're going with an open mind and just accept the story they give us, I think it's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah,
it's going to be awesome.
A wild ride. So
one movie a week, I'm here for it.
Insane. I can't wait. I know Mike's not super thrilled about it, but
no, I'm down. It's just life is so busy trying to fit this in. Like I don't know. I don't like a lot of things on my calendar.
What's only one thing?
Huh?
Every Tuesday, just book.
I know.
I'm
sure I'll make it. I'll make it happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm super excited. I can't wait. It's less than 2 weeks away. 3 weeks away. 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, 25th. So it comes out
days.
I think.
Mm-hmm.
April's gonna be a beast. You guys got Star Wars Celebration. We got
it's gonna be nonstop.
Revenge of the Sith coming back to theaters.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, Brandon, you need to come down to Wichita. We should go see it together. That'd be sick.
The IMAX. I have I for sure have a group that I'm going with. I need to see it at least twice. I mean, you don't not go to Revenge of the Sith twice. But yeah, I would love to see it in IMAX. Because is that where you guys watch it at?
Yeah, I'm a movie snob. If it's on the IMAX, I'm there.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that.
Well, gentlemen, I think we covered that article, kinda.
Yeah, I mean, the goal was to talk about Andor, and we certainly talked about Andor.
I think we talked about Andor, and I didn't show my feet, despite what people in the chat wanted to see. So that was a little creepy.
Dude, what is it about the three of us getting on here together that brings?
I don't know. We are bad luck. We got people coming on asking for weird things. I'm banning students. on my podcast because they're asking me that's weird and wrong and all kinds of things. So, but,
Kids.
all right. Well, Brian, I want to say big thanks, man. It's awesome to
Yeah, buddy.
get to
Mhm.
talk to you again. I feel like we haven't chatted in forever. I know we talk and we text and every once in a while and Facebook each other, but it's just good to talk Star Wars with you, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you
So,
guys for having me. Likewise, I appreciate it. And yeah, it's been too long. We need to stay in the loop more.
yeah, absolutely. I'll be headed up to Salina a couple times here shortly now that girls' season started. So I'll be shooting you
sweet.
a text and we'll get
Hell
together
yeah.
for lunch. So,
Yep, I'm down.
all right. Well, for all of us, we have spoken. We'll see you guys next week.
See ya.